Hi everyone. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope it's working fine. So, welcome to the new session. Am I audible and visible to you guys? Okay. Very good evening, guys. Very good evening. Welcome to Sunya IAS. In this lecture, we will discuss the era of militant nationalism in India. Okay, militant nationalism in India means what? What do you mean by militant? What do you think? Yes, we will discuss something about the moderates and extremists, right? Hi Sai, hi everyone, hi Viresh. Okay, so you just need to like the session and you guys need to subscribe to the channel. Please share the video also. Please share it with your friends. Okay, so now let's come to the topic. In the last class, we discussed something about the anti-partition campaigns, okay, under moderates. The story started from 1903 to 05. In this particular part, we discussed how the Congress position was and why they wanted to condemn the partition of Bengal. So, partition of Bengal is a big reason for this militant era of nationalism. Okay, now, if I say why, if I ask you why partition of Bengal, why partition of Bengal became so serious issue, why there was so sensitivity against this partition, tell me. Tell me in the comment section. Okay? I want you guys to give me the answers, then I'll just start the session. Yes. As it was the part of the divide and rule policy, and Bengal was like an epicenter for the nationalism of India. That's why the partition of Bengal created a huge level of discontent in front of Indians. Okay, so we had different anti partition campaigns. Moderates said that if you will do the partition, we will launch the Swadeshi movement. Okay, but Viceroy Curzon didn't respond to this, he didn't listen to anyone, and he just did the partition. So now understand, how is the position of Congress? The Indian National Congress in 1905, in their meeting under the presidency of Gokhale, they just discussed 2 points. First, they said that we will condemn the partition of Bengal and the reactionary policies of Curzon. They said that we just don't like this. This is something which we really don't agree with, and this is something which we reject, and we don't want it to be like that. And they supported anti-partition and Swadeshi movement of Bengal. Now you need to understand that when we use the word Swadeshi here, Swadeshi means what? Made in India or make in India, right? The idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self sufficiency. Okay, स्वदेशी मतलब अपने देश का, स्वदेशी. Okay, my own country. Okay, from my own India. India for Indians. Fine. With this idea of Swadeshi, a new idea of Swaraj will also come. Swaraj means self rule. Okay, self-rule. Swadeshi is somehow a socio-economic concept. Swaraj is more in a political way. Okay, self-rule, where we have our own government, and the functionaries are led by the Indians. The administrative posts are by the Indians, for the Indians. That is Swaraj. With this idea of Swaraj, the idea of self-rule will come. Okay, self-rule will come. With this self-rule, we will discuss the Home Rule League. Okay, Home Rule League. Two Home Rule Leagues were there, one by Annie Besant, one by Tilak. Okay, when we discuss these self-rule and home rule leagues in India, people started demanding it. So when people started demanding this self-rule, government gave us dominion status. After the Second World War. Okay, will get dominion status after the Second World War, but it was too late. Why? Because by the time Britishers started giving us dominion status and agreed to give us the dominion status in India, Indians said that no, dominion status means no sovereignty. Okay, there would be still a dominance of Britishers. So it is against the sovereignty of India. संप्रभुता नहीं है, डोमिनियन स्टेटस में संप्रभुता नहीं है. So dominion status was something which is partial independence. It's like a partial independence. Okay, not a complete independence. Not complete independence. Okay, but we wanted complete independence. From 1929, we will officially declare that we don't want dominion status anymore. We only want complete independence, means Purna Swaraj. This is for your simple basic understanding, that you don't get confused, between these two three words. Like if I say Swadeshi, Swadeshi means apna, desh ka bana hua, which is Indian made. Swaraj means a political term, self rule. Self rule means our own government, where Indians will be there in the governance, with the power, with the authority, but still it will be like a partial independence. Okay, so to ensure this self rule, later we got dominion status, but this will come at a very later stage. After 1930s, you will see that government agreed to give us the dominion status after a long struggle. But by that time, in 1935, you will see the Government of India Act will come, and the way they introduced these things, it was too late. So we just rejected the proposal, because in 1929 only we declared complete independence. Jawaharlal Nehru declared this. So that's why this is a very important part, that Purna Swaraj is different from Swaraj. Right now, what we are discussing? What is the topic? In today's lecture, we are discussing Swaraj. Okay. After two lectures, we will discuss Purna Swaraj. So you don't need to get confused. It's a step-by-step process. First step is to get Swadeshi and Swaraj. Then we will demand self-rule. Then we will come to dominion status. Then we will demand complete independence. So step-by-step gradual process is there. Okay. For around 10 years, you can say, we focused only on these two words. 10 years from which date? 1905. Why? Because the date of 1905 is a very important date, because of the partition of Bengal. So from this particular time, for 20 years, you will see again and again Swadeshi Swaraj, Swadeshi Swaraj. These words will be highlighted in the history. So we will just focus in these two words today. Right? Here, understand that the Congress position is that they wanted to condemn the partition of Bengal and they wanted to support the anti-partition and Swadeshi movement of Bengal. Okay, now people started the struggle, but this is a new form of struggle, and so many new forms came and their impacts came. The militant nationalists put forward several fresh ideas. Okay, their propaganda was very radical. They were theoretical and they had programs, they had different ideas with different levels to be implemented in different areas. Okay, so this is very, very important, that what do we mean by this new idea and how this fresh idea is going to be there. Okay, how the impact is going to be there. Let's understand. This is the new form of struggle and the impact. First of all, they said that according to this Swadeshi movement, we need to first of all boycott the British made goods, because Britishers earned a lot, right? They took taxes from Indians and they used that money to buy the Indian raw material. So our money was used to buy our own things. This is a double loss. And then after using that raw material there in their industry, they used to make it in a convert it in a finished good. They again came back to India and sold it to us. So this is a huge level of drain of wealth, and that's why people wanted to boycott it. So it included the boycott and public burning of foreign clothes. Okay, foreign clothes of foreign made salt, sugar, or anything which is foreign made. Even the priests, pandits, they refused to ritualize the marriages in which the foreign goods were exchanged or foreign goods were in use. Refusal of washermen to wash the foreign clothes. They said that we will only wash your clothes if you wear Indian clothes, otherwise we will not wash it. So this form of protest met with a great success at the practical and popular level. Okay, so many public meetings and processions happen. In the public meetings and processions, we see that a major method of mass mobilization was used. People got very much aware and they came together. Simultaneously, there were forms of popular expressions, and they started using all those propagandas and ways by the press, books, literature, media, communicational techniques, so that they get something in their hand. Many corps of volunteers or samitis started discussing it in a public way. Samitis such as Swadesh Bandhav Samiti of Ashwini Kumar Datta, very, very important. Ashwini Kumar Datta in Barisal, okay, emerged as a very popular and powerful ruler. Not a ruler, sorry, a leader. Okay, a leader. He was a very popular leader, very popular and powerful leader. Means of mass mobilization was used. In Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu, V.O. Chittambaram Pillai and Subramanya Shiva and some other lawyers were there who formed Swadeshi Sangam. Okay, remember this for prelims. Swadeshi Sangam in Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu. V.O. Chittambaram Pillai and Subramanya Shiva. Okay, they started following it. They formed the Swadeshi Sangam, which inspired the local masses, which inspired the local people, and in this way, all those leaders started following the idea that yes, if we can, really legitimize this tradition of self reliance, then people will be very much aware and they will get some powers economically. The poverty will reduce, the unemployment will reduce, and it would be a great thing. Imaginative use of traditional popular festivals and melas happened, because many of the times there used to be restrictions on public meetings, and government used to suppress people, government used to start the lathi charge and other things. So when these leaders understood that it's not easy to make people assemble in an area, they started utilizing these festivals and melas, because in these areas already you will see that a good crowd is always there, And to, inspire these people, it's very easy to make them make a collective announcement or do something in which people can listen and hear you. And after repetitive slogans, announcements, people, get aware that they get something in their mind that yes, something is happening and we should follow it. So yes, these uses started. The idea was to use traditional festivals and occasions as means of reaching out to the masses, and they started spreading the political messages. Like Tilak started the Ganpati and Shivaji festivals, because you must have seen that how people dance and follow it with so much of energy in the Ganpati festival or Shivaji festival. So people follow these things with a lot of emotions and energies, and when they get energized, they listen to you, they get motivated. But in this particular scenario, you see that Muslims are not really happy with this approach. Why? Because Muslims will think that somehow they are disaligned and they are marginalized in this particular situation, because the Ganpati and Shivaji festivals and other Hindu festivals and rituals were for Hindus. Okay, so a community clash was there. Like Muslims were not able to join these melas and sometimes these rituals and festivals, because it was not something which was followed in their religion. So that's why you will see, because of this, few of the Muslims, they got marginalized, they felt marginalized, and they were very much detached from this idea. Okay, however, it became a very good popular medium of Swadeshi propaganda, not only in Western India but also in Bengal. In Bengal also, the traditional folk theatre forms were used for this purpose. Okay, so in the traditional folk theaters, people used to visit, because see, nowadays we have movies, and you see that generally a good movie, it crosses 100 cr and 200 cr, sometimes very easily they cross it and they make a very good money. But here you can see that at that time only these theaters used to be there, and in these folk theaters people used to come. So the idea is that wherever people can come, and if there is a crowd pulling, if there is a footfall in any of the way, then just use the footfall. Okay, they wanted to utilize the footfall. Means if people are coming, then you should just utilize the opportunity to make it a center of motivation and make them join, make them understand the meaning of Swadeshi movement. The emphasis was given to the self-reliance. Especially, you will see that when Gandhiji will come, however, Gandhian era will come in the next chapter, but you will realize that when Gandhiji also came, no, he also understood that self-reliance is important, and he only gave us the idea of welfare socialism and self-sufficiency in the rural India. He always used to say that India is a rural country. Okay, 70% people lives in the rural India. So when so many of them and a huge level of population is rural, so we should focus on developing this. So if you will develop the rural areas and rural Indias, if the villages are going to be self-sufficient, then automatically the country will grow. So each and every state should focus in their own rural areas and village areas to develop. So self-reliance or Atma Shakti was encouraged, and it was later encouraged by Gandhiji also when he will come. Okay, students who were found guilty of participation, they were to be disqualified for the government jobs. So this is the way for the government repression. Government said that we will just disqualify you, but still students, even after getting disqualified and these notifications by the government, they never stopped. Okay, they were like still fine with it, and they said that still we can just continue the movement, we are not afraid of anything. Even government scholarships and so many things were banned, disciplinary actions were imposed on the students who used to participate in these movements, like fine and expulsion was there, arrest was there, beating was there. So many things were going against them, but still students and so many youngsters joined the movement. They came together, they left their studies, they left their you know dreams and career just to make India independent. So here you need to understand that today the way we are living in an independent country, this is a very big blessing that you got this opportunity, that you are having your own government and you are having a good level of power in your hand, and it's a great level of achievement. Because see, this is not easy, with so many sacrifices, with so many people sacrificing their dreams, then only it happened today. And that's why we are really blessed to live in this particular era where you guys can prepare for exam and do your studies. You don't need to leave the study or do anything for country by just leaving the day to day activities. So yes, you will serve the country, but at that time understand that how big level of sacrifice it could be. If we talk about women, they were traditionally home centered, so only few of the women joined. But those of the urban middle classes women, who used to understand things, they got a level of participation, and they took active part in the processions and picketing. Like they started participating in the protests. Okay, but from now onwards, they were to play a significant role in the national movement, because after this, you will see that in other movements, and especially during the time of Gandhi ji, many women will participate and a lot of activities are going to be there. If we talk about the stand of Muslims, some of the Muslims participated like Barrister Abdul Rasul, Liaquat Hussain, Ghaznavi, Maulana Azad. They all joined, okay, who joined one of the revolutionary terrorist groups. But most of the upper and middle class Muslims stayed away, or led by Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka, and they supported the partition on the plea that it would give them a Muslim majority East Bengal. To further government interest, the All India Muslim League was propped up on December 30th, 1905 as an anti-Congress front, and reactionary elements like Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka were encouraged. Okay, so you can see that many of the people who thought that so many separatist leaders, this is known as a separatist approach. When people get something and they become greedy, they feel like, okay, just use this opportunity to have a separate state. So many of them, they thought that they have a good interest. All India Muslim League was coming up, and so many separatist groups came, so many separatist leaders like Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka, they were encouraged. So they were saying that, okay, we are fine, we should somehow participate in it, and this will give Muslims more power, more authority. So many Muslims, started thinking in a different direction. But still, you will see that in the Swadeshi movement, Muslim participation was there. Okay. So many people joined, like all these, leaders, they joined us. So just remember the name who participated, like Barrister Abdul Rasul, Liaquat Hussain, Ghaznavi, Maulana Azad. They all joined one of the revolutionary terrorist groups. But most of the upper and middle class Muslims, they stayed away. Okay, and they were led by a leader, Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka, who supported the partition, and who thought that with the East Bengal, a Muslim dominance could be created, a Muslim state with Muslim power and Muslim dominance could be created. So this kind of misconception was there in mind of many of the Muslims. Even today you see the condition of Pakistan and Bangladesh. If just imagine if they could be the part of a union, Indian Union, they could have got a lot of development in their countries, right? India is doing better than Pakistan, Bangladesh, right? Why? Because we are having a secular state in India, we follow secularism in India, and we have a good level of diversity. But these people in their countries are still suffering. They want to come and cross the borders of India. Like if you are reading CAA, if you understand the issue that how we are allowing the different religious groups to enter and stay in India. So that's something which shows that still so many people from Pakistan and Bangladesh, they are ambitious about coming and settling down in India because they feel that India is more developed and there are more opportunities in India. So many jobs and things are there. So it's something which means, which shows that the partition was really not helpful. They became happy at that time. Okay, that as if they are getting a separate thing. It's like if you give a separate room to a, uh, you know, to a kid, to a young kid, that kid will be very happy that okay, now I'm getting my own separate room, so I can have my own privacy. But later on, that kid will realize that by getting a separate room, I need to organize things by myself, I need to take care, I need to be responsible for so many things and activities. So there are pros and cons. So they were not well versed in maintaining their own government and utilizing their own resources. They could not take their right decisions. Collectively in India, we all could have developed in a better way, but this idea of supporting the partition of Bengal and later supporting the partition of Pakistan was not really fruitful for Pakistan and Bangladesh. Yes, India also, lost a lot of things. It is a loss for us also, but it's a bigger loss for them. Okay, it's their loss that they got detached and they got, lured by the Britishers. So it's their own problem which they are now suffering through. Now let's come and understand the all India aspect. Movement in support of Bengal's unity. People started saying that please undo the partition. Please, do something for the unity of Bengal again. And the Swadeshi and boycott agitations were organized in the many part of country. Tilak played a very leading role to spread the movement outside Bengal, and he wanted to start a new chapter in the history of national movement. Now understand that Tilak and so many other extremist leaders wanted to spread the movement outside the Bengal. Now, this line is very, very important, which will create a split in the Congress among the moderates and extremists, because moderates wanted to stay in the Bengal area only and they wanted to have the movement in the Bengal area. But extremist leaders like Tilak and so many extremist leaders wanted to go out of the Bengal. They wanted to, spread this movement in the entire India. They wanted to include other states also. So this, started a kind of clash and a fight between moderates and extremists, and that's why it was a problematic thing. He realized that here was a challenge and an opportunity to organize popular mass struggle against British rule, to unite the country in a bond of common sympathy. So Tilak thought that it's a good way, that a common problem is there, so everyone can join, and like as a union we can work, and with a good power and intention we can give something to Indians and some more powers to Indians. The authority will come. But so many extremist leaders were not getting support from the moderates, and at that time Congress was dominated by the moderate leaders only. Okay, but ultimately when so many agitations and things happened in Bengal, and when in the partition, when a lot of loss happened, the government realized that it was not a good idea, and government also understood that people have a good understanding, people had a good intention in their mind, that partition was not fruitful. One more point is that after the partition, Hindus and Muslims, they tied rakhis on each other's hand. They did the Ganga Snan. They, they had a mourning day. They were mourning. They were very upset that this is a very black day in the history of India, that it happened with us. We are getting this partition, but it is not something which we wanted or needed. So when these kind of sadness came from the people, government understood that they need to undo it, and they thought that Delhi will serve as a better capital than in Bengal. So then they decided that in Calcutta, from Calcutta the shifting needs to be done. So it happened, they just shifted the capital, they shifted it in Delhi. And why Delhi? Because Delhi used to be the capital during the Delhi Sultanate, during the Mughal rule. So when the Muslim polity used to be there in India, when Muslims ruled India, they chose Delhi as the capital. So it was the strategy of Britishers to keep Delhi as the capital, so that it will give some confidence and grace to the Muslims also. Okay, so that was something which happened. So there was a decision by the British government. They decided to cancel the partition of Bengal in 1911. Why? Because they wanted to change the capital. They wanted to curb the menace of revolutionary terrorism. They were afraid of rising power of revolutionary terrorism. Here, we should not use the word terrorism, because a person who is considered a terrorist in in the eyes of the Britishers and European was a freedom fighter for us, right? So these freedom fighters, they became very angry, and they were just ready to sacrifice their lives and do whatever it takes. So the annulment happened, the cancellation here happened. It came as a rude shock to Muslims. Muslims became very arrogant after this. Muslim political elite were like that. How could you do so? First of all, you just did the partition and made Dhaka, and now you are not following the rules. Separatist Muslims and those leaders, like people coming from Muslim League, and people like Nawab Salimullah, all those leaders who used to support the partition, they became angry now. And it was also decided to shift the capital to Delhi as a sop to Muslims. Why? Because it was associated to the Muslim glory, with the Muslims, uh, you know, having their power at the medieval times. But Muslims were not pleased by this. Bihar and Odisha were taken out of Bengal, and Assam was made a separate province. And from here, you will see a separation between Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Assam in a very clear way. Okay, before this 1911 time, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha were together. Okay, with Assam, they were together. Now understand the difference between moderates and extremists. If we talk about moderates, the social base of moderates, the zamindar and upper middle classes in towns, they were there, right? So moderates thought that we can have a small social base. We can keep zamindars and upper middle class people with us, because it would be easy to interact with them and make them understand the things and reality. Ideological inspiration came by the Western liberal thoughts in the European history. If you see the American Revolution, French Revolution, and later we will see Russian Revolution. So by all those revolutions, they understood the idea of liberty, fraternity, equality. So they thought that Western philosophy and modernization would be implemented by the Britishers in India. Okay, they believed in England's providential mission in India. They believed political connections with Britain to be India's social, political, and cultural interest. It would be beneficial for India. So they wanted to have a connection with Britishers, as they thought that it will lead to a good development and it will be a friendly relation internationally. We will gain a lot and we will do import, exports, and things like that. So this kind of misconception was there in the minds of moderates. Okay, they professed the loyalty to British crown. They wanted to stay with the government. They thought that government can really do good for India if they know the real problems. But extremist leaders, they used to hate Britishers. They hated British Raj. So these leaders, their social base was educated middle class, lower middle class, in towns. It means that they had included the lower middle classes also. Okay, if we talk about their inspiration, it came from the history of India, culture of India, and the Hindu traditional symbols. Why? Because they wanted to show that Indians used to be very good during the time of ancient India, and even in the medieval times we were doing fine. Yes, we never had industrialization in India, and that kind of science and technology was not there. Technical progress was not there, but we still had a self sufficiency. We were doing fine, so still it was in a very good way. They rejected the providential mission theory as an illusion. They rejected it, that this is not a fine theory, that they have a mission to to just liberate the country, spread modernization, equality, fittest to rule. No, Europeans have a very wrong theory, and they have no missions. Believed that political connections with Britain would perpetuate British exploitation only. It will lead to more exploitation. Britishers are not real friends. They are of no use for us. We should cut all the connections with Britishers, and they will only drain the wealth of India. They believed that the British crown was unworthy of claiming Indian loyalty, and they were not loyal to Britishers. So this is the idea. Now you tell me which approach you like personally. You like moderates more, or if you could be there at that time, you would have followed the extremist policies more during the time of 1905. Don't assume and don't see the time period of this particular part. Okay, tell me how many of you are with moderates and how many of you guys are with the extremists. I just want to see. Guys, you need to like the session. Okay, I really feel happy when you guys like and comment. Okay, you give me a very big smile by spreading this message of likeliness and motivation. So you need to give us more energy if you want me to start some new series with you. See, we are about to complete Spectrum. I'll complete it in this next week only. After completing Spectrum, I want to start 6th to 12th NCRTs with you, with Tamil Nadu history book, of course. So NCRT plus Tamil Nadu history book, class 6 to 12th, all the NCRTs chapter wise. So I'll do it in the live class, but it will be there only if you guys share these sessions more and more, spread the idea more and more, and support it, like it, comment it, and interact in the live class. Okay. Extremist by Pranav Viresh is also saying extremist. Okay, that's right. Nobody from the moderate side? You guys are so extreme. Fine. So, let's see more differences. Very nice. Okay. Thank you so much, Pranav, for sharing the lecture with all your friends. Now, see, these people, moderates, they believe that the movement should be limited to middle class intelligentsia only. Okay, so masses not yet ready for participation in political work. They thought that masses are not that educated and self-aware enough to participate in a movement, and they could only disturb it. So that's why moderates were not really believing in the power of mass struggle. They demanded constitutional reforms by prayer, petition, plead, and they insisted on the use of constitutional methods only, by not protesting against the government. And if even if a protest is there, it should be like a signature campaign, a peaceful protest, a peaceful raise of voice, and a peaceful way of mediation. They were patriots and they did not play the role of a comprador class. Just understand that they really, they had this feeling of nationalism in their mind, and they really never wanted to support the British rule in India, but they wanted to utilize the British rule for the betterment. But it was their misconception that any betterment could happen with the Britishers. But if we talk about the extremist leaders, they had immense faith in the capacity of the masses, okay, to participate and make sacrifices. They demanded Swaraj as the panacea for the Indian ills. They thought that only Swaraj is the solution of all the problems. Swaraj means self rule. Okay, they understood that only self rule is the only panacea. It is the रामबाण इलाज. ठीक है, रामबाण इलाज है स्वराज. अगर स्वराज मिल गया तो रामबाण इलाज हो जाएगा. Did not hesitate to use extra constitutional method. Extra, what do you mean by extra constitutional method? By protesting, picketing, assembling, going against the government. Okay, extra constitutional. Extra constitutional methods like boycott and passive resistance to achieve their objectives. They were patriots who made sacrifices for the sake of the country. Okay, so they were extremely, you know, uh, heavy level of people, and they wanted that we can do whatever it takes, we can sacrifice the life, we can sacrifice anything for the sake of the country, for the sake of the nation. Because of all these differences, the split happened in the Congress. Of course, if family members are fighting again and again, what will you do? You will decide that, okay, let's live separately now, because we have no ideas of getting together and working together, and we have our own ways of living and doing things. So you follow your life, I'll follow my life, we will live separately and we both will be happy. Okay, let's follow the policies in our own ways with their with our own separate institutions. So the split happened in the Surat session in 1907, which is known as Surat split. Okay, in the Surat split, you will see the Congress split happened. The Congress party got divided into two parts: extremist leaders and the moderate leaders. Okay, so Surat came, split happened in 1907, and around the time when revolutionary activities had gained momentum in India, so many revolutionary leaders started working secretly with their own associations and team. The two events were not unconnected. Somehow they were connected. How? See, when young people, young minds, they see that leaders are fighting, and somehow few leaders are very moderate and few leaders are extremists, they could not understand a solution. They got energized and they knew no way to transfer this energy. They were not able to utilize the energy in a right path. So they started having revolutionary mindset. And to get quick powers, quick authorities, they started following the revolutionary activity. That's why Surat split is very much connected to the revolutionary activities. Let's understand what happened in Surat. It was the day of December 1905. In December, at the Banaras session, Indian National Congress, presided by Gokhale. Gokhale was the moderate extremist, uh, you know, person who wanted to discuss the things like how the differences are there. So, in front of Gokhale, the moderate extremist differences came to fore. Now, extremists wanted to boycott things and do the Swadeshi movement to the regions outside the Bengal. So they wanted to include the masses, go outside the Bengal, and do all the kinds of struggles in all the forms, even if it is against the government, even if it is extra constitutional. So they were, just boycotting everything. Even the government services were boycotted, law courts, legislative councils. So within the boycott program, they just started a nationwide mass movement and wanted to lead it as a mass movement. Okay, extremists wanted strong resolution. Okay, they wanted something in a real time manner, and their program, at Banaras session was there. The moderates, on the other hand, were not in favor of extending the movement beyond Bengal, and they were totally opposed to boycott of councils and similar associations. Now, split happened. The extremists wanted the 1907 session to be held in Nagpur, okay, central provinces, with Tilak or Lala Lajpat Rai as the president, along with a reiteration of Swadeshi boycott and national education resolution. The moderates wanted the session at Surat in order to exclude Tilak from the presidency, since a leader from the host province could not be session president. Okay, so Surat was the Tilak's home province of Bombay. So when the home province is there, then the leader could not preside. So the presiding leader will somehow decide that what kind of policy or what kind of way, the moderate way or the extremist way, is going to be there with the Congress minds. But moderates wanted the session to be there at Surat so that they could exclude the Tilak, and they did it. They did it in Surat only. They excluded the Tilak also. So instead of Tilak, they wanted Raj Bihari Ghosh as the president, because Raj Bihari Ghosh was moderate in his approach, and they wanted to drop the resolution of Swadeshi boycott and national education in this, and wanted to be there inside the Bengali area only. So both sides became very rigid. They were not having any compromise at all. So the split became very inevitable. The split happened. Congress was now dominated by moderates, and they lost no time in retreating the Congress, right? So the commitment to goal of self government within the British Empire was there, and to use only the constitutional method to achieve, you know, only to achieve this goal would be followed by the Congress moderate leaders. Now extremists, they left this entire partnership. They were like, okay, now we will lead things in our own ways, no problem. Government started the repression and suppression. Government started beating the extremist leaders. Now extremists were not part of the old Congress anymore. So whenever they used to do something, or wherever they used to go, they were beaten, they were imprisoned, they were captured. So they were punished in different ways. Now government started this repression. Why? Because government knew that this is something extra constitutional, so they had the power to suppress them. Government launched a massive attack on the extremists. Between 1907 to 1911, 5 new laws were brought in force, so that they could control these leaders and revolutionary ideas. They wanted to restrict people, they wanted to restrict leaders, they wanted to have no assemblies and protests at all. They really wanted that there should be no boycott of the British goods, and they wanted to control the administration and everything in India. So, to continue the control, these legislations, 5 new legislations came. They included Seditious Meetings Act, in which if you are meeting, and planning something against the government, then government can punish you. So nothing seditious should be there which is against the British Raj. It happened in 1907. Indian newspaper Incitement to Offence Act was in 1908, in which anything, if published in the newspaper which is objectionable against the British government, then the newspaper would be banned. Criminal Law Amendment Act in 1908, which declared different types of crimes if you protest against the government, and the Indian Press Act in 1910 to control and restrict the press by not letting them publish anything against the government policies. So Tilak was the main extremist leader. He was tried in 1909 for the sedition for what he had written in the 1908 in his Kesari. Okay, Kesari, in his newspaper, he wrote about the bomb thrown by Bengal revolutionaries in Muzaffarpur, resulting in the death of 2 innocent European women. So he said that the intention was not to kill anyone and any innocent European women, but it happened. But sometimes, when you go for a big level of sacrifice, and if you want to achieve something big for the country, these things happen. So these casualties are something which becomes a part of the revolution. So because of his writing and raged powerful statements, government became very angry, and that's why government punished Tilak. He was the main extremist leader. By punishing Tilak, they wanted to punish all the extremist leaders. They wanted to show that they can run a trial on anyone, and they can punish anyone whenever it is needed. After all these things, Parliamentary reforms came in India, and for the very first time, divide and rule and communal politics, communal vote bank was introduced in India. You can see that nowadays, are you guys able to see something around you? Uh, if you realize the trend of the movies since last month, I can see that a movie on Article 370 came. Today I saw that on one of the OTT, there is a movie which is related to Usha Mehta. Usha Mehta's the role is played by Sara Ali Khan, and there is a there is a movie on Amazon Prime, I think, in which it is shown that how the Quit India movement was there. So understand that what is happening in this movie. When I saw Article 370, I got influenced by one party. Okay, that okay, this party is so good for country and they have a lot of powers and things in their hand, and they had done a lot of things, and they achieved something. It was a big deal. But when I see this movie of Usha Mehta today, I am now influenced by the another party. Do you see these movies getting released just before election? Why? Why is it happening so? Why just before election? Why do you see a lot of propagandas around you? This is a part or a kind of advertisement which you are seeing. Everyone, each and every party and leaders, they are trying to influence people, because the Lok Sabha election is very near. It is around the corner. Now, I have seen more movies like this, like nowadays only, which got released last month and this month, and I'm getting inspired by different leaders, parties. Like on OTT, I saw something which is related to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and then when I saw that, then again I got inspired with motivated with the role of a party member. So somehow, uh, I realized that by watching all these things nowadays, before elections, I really feel influenced by a political group, and I understand an ideology. So it may be happening with everyone. So is it a way to advertise and popularize things? Is it a new way to use the OTT platforms and Bollywood to win the election and utilize the vote bank? You will see that nowadays people will start discussing something which is related to communalism. A separate politics will start, where few leaders will give bhadkau bhashan with their speeches, with their powerful speeches. They will try to influence people that even if something is wrong, they will highlight it, and they will say that yes, we will do it, yes, we will do it, even if it is wrong, we will do it because this is right for us, this is right for my community, that community is wrong, you are bad, I am good. This kind of propaganda you will see now. Why? Because the elections are near. So understand what happened. When Britishers understood that Muslims are getting very unhappy, and when they knew that Congress is rising, so to suppress the rising power of Congress, to make an obstruction, to create a disturbance, they wanted to lure Muslims, because it was easy to lure that community. First of all, uh, education was not that high if you compare it with the Hindu community. Second, population is also lesser, because minorities, and of course a minority politics could be engaged. Britishers knew that by creating this disturbance, Muslim disturbance, they will be able to continue the British Raj for more years further in future. But in case Muslims become angry, and in case they decide to get the independence, they will take it within few years. Britishers knew it. Britishers knew the powers of Muslim. They knew that these Islamic leaders and these Muslim people, they are so strict that in case they get united and they decide to go with the Congress, and if they all move in a flow, British Raj will not continue. So, to delay the process of independence and to rule for few more years in the future, they thought to create something as a communal politics, started divide and rule, and to legitimize it, they introduced Morley Minto reform, which for the very first time gave separate electorate to Muslims, so that if a area is there where Muslims are living, and if it is a separate electorate area in the constituency, in that particular area, only Muslim voters will give vote to Muslim candidate. So only Muslims will have the voting rights. This kind of separate politics was introduced. It was in October 1906 when first time this idea came and it was discussed. So a group of Muslim elites called Shimla Deputation, and it was led by Agha Khan. Very important. Please understand and remember this for your prelims. Okay, it is very very important. So in October 1906, a group of Muslim elites called the Shimla deputation. Okay, it was led by Aga Khan. They met Lord Minto and they demanded separate electorates for the Muslims. Okay, now see, the demand came and they wanted representation in the excess of their numerical strength in the view of the value of the contribution Muslims were making to the defense of the empire. They were saying that if we are giving you defense, okay, if we are giving defense to the British Raj, we should get something in return. The same group quickly took over the Muslim League, okay, initially floated by Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka along with Nawabs Mohsin ul Mulk and Bakar ul Mulk in December 1906. Okay, but now they all came together with the Muslim League, and the Muslim League intended to preach loyalty to the empire and to keep Muslim intelligentsia away from the Congress, so that Congress is disturbed and British Raj is secured, so that Britishers can give something to Muslims. Gopal Krishna Gokhale also went to England to meet SOS of India, John Morley. Why? Because they wanted to put Congress demands of self-governing system similar to the other British colonies like Canada and Australia. Okay, understand. In other colonies, there was self-rule. People had more powers. People had more domination. But in India, Indians had still a very less amount of powers. So reforms came. In the Morley Minto reform, why it is known as Morley Minto? Because Viceroy was Lord Morley and SOS for India was John Morley. Okay, Morley Minto reform. Now here you see Morley Minto, it came here and it agreed that some reforms were due to some placid that moderates as well as the Muslims they could come together. Okay, now understand basically SOS and Viceroy. They both are coming and Lord Minto, SOS Lord Minto and the John Morley, they are together. So Lord Minto and Morley, they will, have this discussion that okay, now what we can do is we can introduce a new act. Why acts? Because acts are like a legitimate government authoritative declaration that this is the new rule. Parliamentary reform. First of all, the elective principles was recognized for non-official membership of the countries in India, and Indians were allowed to participate in the election of various legislative council, though on the basis of class and community. As a separate electorate, they were allowed. Okay, so one good point or a merit was there that Indians could participate in different elections of legislative councils. Indians were now allowed to participate. Second, for the very first time, separate electorate was given, okay, to Muslims for the election to the Central Council, and it was established as a most detrimental step for India for the very first time. The number of elected members in the Imperial Legislative Council and Provincial Legislative Council was increased. Imperial Legislative Council means Lok Sabha. Provincial Legislative Council means Legislative Assembly of State. Okay, I hope you're getting the point. Like in like it's just to make you understand. I'm trying to compare it with present situation. Like at present situation in present time in India, we have a Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is like a legislative council. It is a central level council. So it is at the center. But in this state, we have legislative assemblies of the state where MLAs are there. So member of legislative assemblies, they have their own assemblies in their own state where they decide things for the state. So that is the provincial level, state level. So this is the center level. This is the state level. Okay. Imperial means center. Provincial means state. Okay. Now, in the provincial councils, non-official majority was introduced. But since some of these non-officials were nominated and not elected, the overall non-elected majority remained. So non-elected members were more, but they had less powers. According to Sumit Sarkar, in the Imperial Legislative Councils, total 69 members were there. Out of these 69 members, 39 were to be the officials, and of the 32 non-officials, 5 were to be nominated. Of the 27 elected non-officials, 8 seats were reserved for Muslims under separate electorate. Muslims could vote here for the Muslim candidates, and only Muslims could vote, while 4 seats were reserved for the British capitalists and 2 for the landlords, and 13 seats were under the general electorate. So, for other people, Hindus and other Indians, only 13 seats for all total, all of them to be, you know, participated. Now you can see the discrimination, the level of discrimination which is there. It was just to lure the Muslims. The elected members were to be indirectly elected. The local bodies were to elect an electoral college, a group, a deciding group, where members would be giving the votes to the candidate. So they will in turn would elect members of provincial legislature, and who in turn would elect the members of central legislature, like the MLAs only. They give votes to the Rajya Sabha members, right? So you give direct votes to MLAs, right? So MLAs, member of legislative assemblies, they participate in Rajya Sabha election and they give vote to the Rajya Sabha people. And those members of Rajya Sabha and then Lok Sabha together, few of the members, they come together and then they choose their president, right? So this is a system of indirect election. Besides separate electorate for the Muslims, representation in the excess of the strength of their population was accorded to the Muslims. Also, the income qualifications for the Muslim voters was kept lower than the Hindus, so to make it more easier for them to come and participate and be a political power. If we talk about the powers of legislature at both the center and in the provinces, they were enlarged and more powers were given to them. Now, these legislatures could pass resolutions which may or may not be accepted. It is like a advisory thing. Okay, it was not bounded. It was not bounding. They could ask questions and supplementaries. They can, vote on separate items in the budget, like different things which were not that important, like defense and other things, but the budget as a whole could not be voted upon. Few separate items were there in their hands, so only limited powers were there. One Indian was to be appointed to the Viceroy's Executive Council. Satyendra Sinha was the first Indian to be appointed as a law member in 1909. So he was the first Indian, okay, to come and work with the Viceroy in his Executive Council. Now, if we try to evaluate the 1909 reform, the Morley Minto reform, it was of no use. It gave us no self rule at all. There was nothing written about the self rule, Swaraj, or self government. So, Lord Morley made it clear that colonial self government, as demanded by the Congress, was not suitable for India, and he was against the introduction of parliamentary or responsible government in India. He said that if it could be said that this chapter of reforms led directly or indirectly to the establishment of parliamentary system in India, I for one would have nothing at all to do with it. It means that he was completely against the parliamentary system in India, and he was the one who never believed on Indians that they could have their own parliamentary system and they could run their government. Okay. Now understand that if you read the spectrum, you are now on chapter number 12. Why? Because see, sometimes in the YouTube, what we do is we align 2 chapters or 3 chapters in one class quickly to cover things in a short and easy way. So if you read the spectrum book, if you open the chapter number 12, you will get to see this first phase of revolutionary activities, which started from 1907 to 1917. In this particular chapter, they will discuss more about the revolution, and in this chapter they want you to be aware about the first phase. Now, what is first phase? First of all, how many phases were there? How many phases of revolutionary movements happened in India to get the independence? Do you know? Who will tell me? If you have not liked the session yet, please like, guys, please like the session. It's very important that you need to like it. Okay. Yes, Lord Minto started this. He is the father of communal electorate. That's right. Which slogan, Pranav? Which slogan are you asking? Tell me. Which slogan are you talking about? Please write the slogan in the comments. Understand that there were two phases. I thought that you will give me the answer in the comments, but please understand that there were two phases of revolutionary activities. In the first phase of revolutionary activities, not much success was gained, but a lot of participation, encouragement, and ideas came with the practice. But in the second phase of revolutionary activities, when Bhagat Singh will come, we will gain more profit. We will gain more, ways towards independence. So right now we are discussing the first phase. In the first phase, only few success and few small things would be achieved, but it will create a good base and a practical experience for us. Fine, got it? Political freedom is the life breath of nation means, see, this is something which is very much related and similar to the Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. ठीक है, पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम सब कुछ है. सबसे पहले तो किसी भी देश के लिए ज़रूरी है कि हमारी राजनीति हमारे हाथों में हो, इसका ये मतलब है. तो पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम इज द ब्रेथ, इट इज द रियल सेंस of the nationalism, and it is the most important thing which we need for the independence. So people and leaders demanded political freedom, their liberties, their polity, so that they could participate in the governance. They can hold higher authorities and offices in the system. So that's why it is important. Got it? Fine. I hope your doubt is clear. Okay. Now let's come to this particular chapter. Here we have understood a lot about Swadeshi and boycott movement, right? I think that you have no doubts from this. Now we need to discuss the revolutionary program, and you just understand that during this revolutionary program, we faced a lot of issues due to the First World War. Okay, so in the First World War, Indians were too innocent and they were not well aware. So, unwillingly, India was dragged in the First World War. Okay? We didn't participate willingly. Indians never wanted to participate. But in the First World War, it was between Britain and Germany, where so many world powers, some of them joined Britain, some of them joined Germany. Okay? Now, here you need to understand that India was a British colony. So, Britishers used the resources, soldiers, grains, gold, money from India to win the war against Germany. Fine. In this situation, Germany will help India to get freedom against Britishers. If any Indian revolutionary needs weapons, guns, arms and ammunitions, they could get it from Germany. Understanding it? Why? Because Germany is fighting against Britain in the First World War. But the problem is that as India was dragged, the resources, soldiers, army men, resources, soldiers, money, and food grains will go to Britain. Okay, why? Because Britishers wanted all these things to support the war, effort by exporting all these things out of India. And if all these things would be exported and will go from India to Britain, in India what will happen? India will lack all these resources here, right? Lack of wealth is going to be there, so famines will happen. Okay, famines started in India. Due to these famines, a lot of people will die. Okay, death will increase. If death will increase, if people will lose their loved ones, if they will lose their loved ones, with this loss, they will become more upset and angry. With this anger, they will lead the revolution. And to get all these things, they will get the support from Germany, or they will get support from other powers who worked against Britain. So, here in the First World War, you understand that there was a base. It is a base of what? Of revolutionary activities in India. This is a chart to make you understand in simple words that how the revolution happened and how revolutionaries got support from Germany and other opponent powers of Britain. In the First World War, we didn't realize that we were dragged in the war. Okay, we wasted our money, men, power, resources, gold, everything. And we faced famine, we faced so many deaths, and we faced so many poverties and issues in India. Inflation was very, very high. But by the time of Second World War, we became aware. Okay, Indians were aware enough and they had the practical experience of the First World War. We had a tried and tested formula of everything. So we knew that what happens in a world war. So we decided not to support Britishers again. During the Second World War, India will ask that you should give us freedom, then only we will support you. Otherwise, we will not support you. Okay. But Britishers said no, we won't give you freedom. We will give you only dominion status. But by that time, we wanted complete independence. So the idea is that during the Second World War, you will see that we will be more educated and experienced. Okay. But this is the time of the first phase of revolutionary activities, which is happening during the First World War. So this is the chart which is going to be followed in the lecture. Okay. However, I'll cover this lecture tomorrow with you. I'll not do it right now. I'll discuss the Swadeshi and boycott movement more with you, and I'll come to the revolutionary activities and revolutionary programs. So we will start this chapter tomorrow, but wanted to give you a small introduction, a brief idea, so that when tomorrow you come in the class, you'll get more understanding. Okay. How many of you guys want Holi? I was thinking Holi is on Monday, no? Because it's a holy time. So I just wanted to declare a small holiday for you. You will get a big weekend. Okay, it's on Monday, right? So we have completed a lot of classes. Tomorrow is Friday. So we have 22 March. Tomorrow is Friday, right? So I think that we can have a holiday for Holi now. 22, 23, 24 are weekends. 25 is the Holi. So from 26 we can resume. Till then what we can do is, you guys can revise all the last lectures which we have completed and come with some questions next week. Okay, so if you want we can have a class tomorrow, but if you want we can keep it a holiday and we can have a 4 days of leave. क्योंकि देखो 23-24 को तो वैसे भी क्लास नहीं होने वाली है, सैटरडे संडे था, 25 को होली है इसीलिए क्लास नहीं हो पाएगी. 22nd is the Friday, tomorrow is the Friday, so you tell me if you want a class tomorrow or you want a holiday. Good evening Sunil Kumar Shetty. Yes, you guys need to answer me because I'll come live tomorrow only if you will give me the answer. We can have a holiday tomorrow, so total 4 days of leave you will get to revise the lectures. So do you want it to be like this or you want me to come live tomorrow? Tomorrow you want a class? Yes. Tomorrow class should be there. Okay. Fine. No problem. Then what we can do is we can have a class tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. So we can have one more class tomorrow. We can complete the first phase of revolutionary activities tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow what we will do is we will complete the first phase of revolutionary activities. वो वाला chapter कर लेंगे हम लोग. So हमारी half book complete हो जाएगी. If you complete this first phase of revolutionary activities, half spectrum would be covered. If you have spectrum, you can check. Okay, only half will be there. Half remaining जो रहेगा उसको हम लोग 26 से resume करेंगे. Fine. Okay. So I'll be live again after these 3 days on Tuesday. फाइन, तो कल क्लास कर लेते हैं, लास्ट कल एक क्लास हो जाएगी, फ्राइडे भी है, ठीक है. सो टुमारो आई विल कम लाइव अगेन गाइस. थैंक यू सो मच टू कम and to reply as I can see. Okay Pranav, I'll add some questions. If Pranav you can watch, if you want PYQs na, I have already uploaded a lecture Sunya IAS के live उसमें जाओ YouTube पे. I'll just show you how. See, what you can do is simply do one thing. Go to YouTube. Search Sunya IAS. Okay, right now you are watching this live, no? What you need to do is Sunya IAS के प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपको जाना है. Here आप देख सकते हो होम, वीडियो, शॉर्ट्स, लाइव, प्लेलिस्ट, कम्युनिटी, ये सब रहता है. आप लाइव पे क्लिक कर दो. ओके, इफ यू क्लिक ऑन लाइव, व्हाट यू विल सी that these are all the live lectures. First of all, you need to revise all of them. और थोड़ा सा पीछे जाएंगे अगर आप, so you will see that there is a revision of MCQs. ठीक है, revision of MCQs and it's in this line only. Let me just come to this again. I took it, I think I took it last month, but होगा. Come to this live. This lecture I'm talking about. Okay. ये ओपन करके आपको देखना है. इन दिस लेक्चर व्हाट आई हैव डिस्कस्ड इज आई हैव कंप्लीटेड एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम द लास्ट 9 years PYQs एंड इट इज टॉपिक वाइज. तो ये टॉपिक वाइज है. सुनिया आईएएस के लाइव उस पे जाना और चेक करना. क्वेश्चंस आई हैव ऑलरेडी कंप्लीटेड. तो मैंने जब क्वेश्चंस वाला ये सेशन लिया था लाइव, at that time I got a lot of requests from students that they want me to do a complete series on modern Indian history. This one, okay, this one I'm saying, ye wala. You need to watch this video, guys. Okay, this is the important video which you need to watch, and if you'll watch this video you'll cover all the PYQs. 9 years के क्वेश्चंस हमने कंप्लीट किए हुए हैं इसमें. एंड शॉर्ट में आप इसको थोड़ा सा स्पीड करके देख सकते हैं. एटलीस्ट जितना अभी तक हमने कवर कर लिया है उतना देख लो आप. ठीक है, तो दैट विल बी वेरी वेरी हेल्पफुल फॉर यू. इट विल गेट यू अ ग्रेट हेल्प एंड ट्राई टू डू इट. जस्ट ओपन द वीडियो एंड चेक इट. फाइन. दिस इज द लेक्चर विच यू नीड टू वॉच. फाइन, गॉट इट. ठीक है गाइस, चलो फिर आज के सेशन को भी यहीं पे एंड करते हैं. ये वाला लेक्चर आप लोग देख लेना. PYQ डिस्कशन का है, अभी लोड नहीं हो रहा है. बाद में यू कैन जस्ट चेक इट लेटर and watch it, and there also you can comment and ask me doubts. In case you want to discuss something, you can always ask me. Okay guys, then see you. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have a small session again, and then after tomorrow's session we will have a holy break. ठीक है, होली की छुट्टियां होंगी 3 दिन की आपके लिए. See you then. Take care. Bye bye.